What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, I'm going to talk about something this morning about Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Eddie Hearn. And before you UK dudes, fake fans, not the ones that, that know boxing, the ones that are just looking for something to complain about, just be quiet until the video's done so you can hear what I actually mean. And maybe that way we can avoid a whole bunch of comments back and forth that, are pretty much a waste of your time and my time. My point of this video is two things. One, Floyd Mayweather Jr. is coming back from his, if you want to call it a retirement, to fight in mixed martial arts in Japan. So there's a lot of talk, a lot of videos that I saw about the reason behind that being that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is broke. So I'm going to address that. And in short, he's not. And second, there was a conversation about Eddie Hearn, Matchroom USA, and Dazn, and whether or not when Eddie Hearn said that he needed to get a Charlo or I think he would have said a Charlo or Mikey Garcia signed to Dazn, that means that he's under pressure. And the answer to that is obviously. Now, that's the two things that I'm going to talk about, and I don't really think that there's any. These are one of these discussions that there's really not much. There's really not much room for debate. You can almost state them as a categorical fact. It's just an absolute fact, rather. So, first one, Floyd Mayweather Jr. being broke. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is a lot of things that you can criticize where you can point a finger at him and wonder what's going on with him. You can clearly wonder whether or not the guy is an attention hound, whether or not he's addicted to fighting, whether he's addicted to competition. But questioning whether or not he's going broke, I think that is a major, major, major stretch. That saying that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is going broke, from my perspective, and I'm not somebody that doesn't, I'm not a rich man. I'm not broke. I make a nice living outside of YouTube. I'm okay. At the end of the month, generally speaking, at the end of the month, my savings account goes up. But So from my perspective, to look at what Floyd Mayweather Jr. is in his life and call him broke, man, that's the type of broke we should all need. That we should all be, right? We should all be in a situation where we have that much property that we own, that if we absolutely had to do, we could liquidate it, still have enough cash and stuff left over after you hit bankruptcy to be able to live quite significantly better than the vast majority of people around you. And so when people are saying that he's going broke, I think I don't think that there will be a day in Floyd Mayweather's life that he's not a wealthy man. It would be almost impossible for that to be the case. Like I said, that is like a situation where somebody, now I'm not saying he can't be under some type of financial pressure or that he feels a need to continue to generate large amounts of money. But that, to me, that is kind of like saying if a 500-pound man loses 50 pounds, that's all of a sudden he's skinny. I don't think I think that is very, 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 very far from the truth. There's a long way to go in that 450-pound man before we got to worry about him dying of anorexia. And while on the other hand, 95% of America is in a situation where if they lost 100 pounds, them dudes would be running to the hospital. Floyd Mayweather Jr. can take the hit. Now, the reason why he's coming back, I have no doubt that he likes making a lot of money. He likes the thrill of making big paydays. He likes being the center of attention. I have no doubt that he is probably very bored doing things that do not involve training, that do not involve fighting, because that's what he's done his whole life, man. And I think it's much more reasonable to assume that those are the reasons why he would be so adamant about continually coming back to the ring. And I'm somebody, I've never considered Floyd Mayweather retired, because I never believed that the dude was going to stop fighting. He's doing something. And you hear this with other fighters, like Sugar Ray Leonard is a great example of another fighter that did this, but he never but I don't think Sugar Ray Leonard was ever known to be in any real financial problems. He just was very, very good at boxing. And it wasn't until he couldn't stop until somebody proved that he didn't have the ability to get in that ring anymore. And that it's the thrill of the crowd, the thrill of being able to do something better than somebody else can do, something that you've practiced and skills that you've honed through your whole life and a challenge and all that can push somebody into the ring. So that's what I believe was the reason why Sugar Ray Leonard did it, and it didn't have anything to do with whether or not he had the money to do it or not. I think Oscar De La Hoya was the same way. Oscar De La Hoya, I don't think he ever had any money problems. But he kept coming back and taking fights, and he fought guys until he knew for sure, and it was proved to him in a ring that he could no longer compete, and he had to sit down. And more than likely, that's going to be the situation with Floyd Mayweather as well. Now, as far as Eddie Hearn goes, Eddie Hearn being under pressure with Dazn, obviously. And I'm going to say that I'm going to say it for the same reason, not an inflammatory reason, not that he's not doing a good job with what he's doing, although I'm highly suspicious of I suspect that the higher ups or the people that gave him his budget at Dazn would have expected more from him. But whenever somebody says that they're going to give you that much money based on the promises that you made about being able to sign these people, having a really big group of unsigned fighters in America, and that's what he sold. That's what Eddie Hearn was selling to the American public, right? The things that he's saying out of his mouth, I can only imagine. I only have to assume that's the same pitch that he gave to the people that he was talking to from Dazn in the UK, because these guys from Dazn, if I recall correctly, are based in the UK. So if these guys are based in the UK and they're seeing the success that Matchroom Boxing and Anthony Joshua are having at the O2 Arena and Wembley Arena, and really feeling that, and Eddie Hearn says, look, there's all these fighters over there in the United States, and you want to get into this market, I want to get into this market. If you give me the money, I can go sign these fighters, because there's a whole bunch of guys over there. The best fighters in America don't have promotional contracts. Many of the best ones don't have promotional contracts. Deontay Wilder doesn't have a promotional contract. Mikey Garcia doesn't have a promotional contract. Gervonta Davis, Errol Spence Jr., Jermell Charlo, all these guys don't have promotional contracts. And if we can just pay them more money to get them over, then we can get them onto Dazn. And that didn't happen. And it has not happened. And now you have Fox and ESPN doubling down on the amount of money that they're going to give to the PBC. And, it's just not panning out that way. Now, I'm not saying that Eddie Hearn is going to be kicked out, right? But whenever somebody gives you that amount of money, you're going to be under some pressure to perform and to do the things that you said you were going to do. The other things that Dazn has done, and now is separate from whether I think Dazn can be separate or successful or not, because I think that Dazn right now is hardcore boxing friendly. It's hardcore boxing friendly, more so than ESPN is, and we'll see what Showtime's roster is going to be like for next year. I mean, what their fight schedule is going to be for next year. But as of right now, with the World Boxing Super Series, watching the fights that have taken place on that is hardcore boxing fan friendly. If they can repeat what they did with the cruiserweight championship, they're doing a great job with the 140-pound championship, with the 140-pound tournament, going for the Ali trophy with Relic, especially going into I think it's his quarterfinals with Relic versus Prograis and Baranicek versus Josh Taylor. Man, those are great fights. Those are three guaranteed good fights that we know we're going to get in the 140-pound division. And even with the cruiserweights, where I didn't really know a lot of the cruiserweights. I did know them, but I wasn't as familiar with some of the cruiserweights until that World Boxing Super Series. And those were a bunch of very, very good fights. Same thing with 168 pounds. So Dazn are doing, for hardcore fans, and this is what I've got to say I appreciate about Dazn. They're doing a good job putting on fights that hardcore boxing fans can appreciate. But Eddie Hearn doesn't own it does not own portion of Dazn. And we'll see what happens with Golden Boy Promotions and Canelo Alvarez, because they're also a little shaky as far as making the fights that hardcore boxing fans want to see. And I know there's a lot of people that say, oh, it's a business. It's not a business for a fan. You know, and I use this in a live stream that we did, the same analogy. Just because I go buy a hamburger at McDonald's does not mean that I'm in the fast food restaurant business. I am there. McDonald's is in the fast food business. I am just buying a hamburger. Same thing for boxing fans. We can talk and let people use these excuses about the business of boxing, but we're not in the business of boxing. We're consumers of the business of boxing. So what Dazn did that I really appreciated is that World Boxing Super Series, and I can't take that from them. That is a great piece of work. They also show a lot of fights. Like all dang day these guys have. Whenever they put a fight card on that, they show the whole undercard. You're going for hours watching boxing, right? So there's really good things about that. But when you give that type of money, they're not going to give. They know they're not going to give credit to Eddie Hearn for signing Canelo or Eddie Hearn for signing World Boxing Super Series, especially when those are on separate budgets. They're going to look at Eddie and say, look, whatever. At the end of the day, they're going to, because they are businessmen, and they will say at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, when it's time to re-up, they'll say, look, man, how much money did I spend with you? And what was my return on the investment from what I spent with you? And if those numbers don't add up, man, they'll go do something else. So, of course, there's pressure for Eddie Hearn to meet his goals. There has to be, because these guys ain't just handing out money because they like his smile. They're handing out money because they want to make sure because they want a return on that. And if that's measured in the number of subscribers or whatever that measurement is, whatever that metric is that they're looking at, they will have communicated that metric to Matchroom USA, and they will know where Matchroom A is relative to those metrics that they handed to them. And then you'll see what's going on. But anyway, that's it on this one. Hey, appreciate you guys listening. And with that, I'm out. Peace.